get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Hey, this is Lou Diamond. Welcome to a Thrive Loud catch-up episode. Today, we bring back Christy Whitman, New York Times bestselling author, transformational leader, celebrity coach, and the founder of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. She has a new book out called The Desire Factor. We caught up on a Thrive Loud Live episode, which is where we caught up here, which is really cool, on LinkedIn and Facebook. And you really should hear about this incredible offer she has if you pre-order The Desire Factor today. Reason being is she's throwing in a whole bunch of great programs and offers that's really worth a lot of money. So check out the link in the show notes that goes directly to The Desire Factor and take advantage of it. You'll hear her say it at the end part of the interview, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention here at the top of the show. So sit back, relax, and get ready for my fun conversation with the amazing Christy Whitman. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we go and bring back someone that's been on the show before because she's constantly coming up with new content. She is truly an unbelievable, awe-inspiring person, one of the best coaches you'll ever deal with. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She is a transformational leader. She's a celebrity coach. It's because she's so famous and everything, you know. And she's the founder of the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. And coming real soon, she has a book, which we're going to talk about here on this episode. Thrive Loud listeners and those viewers here on LinkedIn and Facebook on Thrive Loud Live, Christy Whitman. Christy, how are you today?
I'm awesome, Lou. So happy to be with you. Make me laugh.
We had so much fun. I think the first time you came on the show, and I remembered saying, I go, wow, she's like a big deal. And then I started, by the way, I've got you look over my shoulder in the bookshelves. Your book is actually like right over there. I have the quantum one, the Quantum Success.
Quantum Success. Yeah.
I have Quantum Success. It kind of blew my mind in so many ways. We're going to talk about all the things that blow our minds.
Oh, you'll love this. You'll love the Desire Factor then.
So I want to get the thing, because I know, look, great authors like you are always coming up with good content. Let's bring the readers up to speed as to when you started coming up with this concept and this idea and when pen went to paper. That sound good to start?
Sure. Yeah. So I was on a cruise ship. And all of my best ideas, I recommend going on a cruise ship every year, because every time I go on a cruise ship, I get like downloads. That's where I was on a cruise ship when the Quantum Success came through at 3:00 in the morning. I was literally looking out the window and it was just this desire factor. And I was like, what is that? What is the desire factor? I like it. And because all my books are downloaded through me, right? So I just put pen to paper and I just started writing. That's how just do my process. And so I realized in that moment how desires are so important for us to move forward in our lives, because desires are the birth of creation. Without a desire, none of us would be here. If my mom and dad didn't desire to have another child, I wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
If the divine decided that dinosaurs were cooler than people, none of us would be here, right? It's like there was a desire that was birthed, and then manifestation happens. So for each one of us, we always have desires that come to us, but most people squelch them, they push them away, they talk themselves out of it, or they get excited about it. And then they go talk to their friend or parent or loved one, and then they squash it. Well, who are you? You don't know how to do that. Oh, people have already done that, right? Aren't you scared? Aren't you too old? And desires are meant to move us forward. And the cool thing about it is that for the human being, the personality, once a desire is birthed, once it actually manifests into some kind of form, we get to dance with it, sleep with it, live in it, drive it, wear it, whatever, go on it, whatever we're experiencing it, we get to be it. But the divine in us, the energy being that we are, it's all about who we became in the process of attaining that desire.
I totally get it. And I like it. And I've got a real good question.
Yes.
I think a lot of the problems that people have with their desires, you're right, they get distractions from others or naysayers or fears that get them off track.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that kind of keep us off track, but don't we have a lot of desires? Or they're really good core ones that we should be focusing on more? Because that's where I get a little confused, because I think I want a lot of things, or maybe there's something else I want more than others. How do you siphon down to the right desire that matters to you most now?
The one that like enlivens you the most. You're right. I mean, I recommend honestly that people take a moment, or a couple, to take a piece of paper and write down everything they desire in every aspect of their life. Like, think of it in buckets. Like, what do you desire in your career? What do you desire financially? What do you desire in your personal relationships with your either kids or your significant other, in your social, in your spiritual, in your body, in your well-being? Like, write out everything you desire. And then the thing that really gets you excited the most, the thing that feels like the biggest priority, that's the one to focus on. I always say focus on between 1 and 3 desires, because and really it's about getting into the energy of the desire. Because what's cool is that when you know all the things that you desire and you become vibrationally open to it, you have pops of desires manifesting all over the place. You might be focusing on one, but because you're in vibrational alignment with that one, all the other desires pop into place.
I love that you're bringing up vibrational alignment, because I recently went into one of these Clubhouse rooms. Are you doing Clubhouse these days?
I've been in there, but I just haven't gotten into it yet. All my friends are addicted, and I'm like, I don't have the time.
It's a little problematic, but shout out to JJ Flazane's big podcaster. You've probably even been on our show, and if not, we should have you on our show. But JJ talks about vibrations all the time and how being in that right mode of this. But here we go with desires, right? So let's rewind to, when did you start putting the pen to paper for desires? Was it last year during 2020, or was it before?
It was at the end of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this something that you've desired, intention here, I'm going with this, to write for a while? Because I know some of your work, and I think that focus of following your passions and recognizing the energies around you and how to channel it. So this is very specific, almost like a double click down lane to some of the stuff you've written before.
It is more specific, because the thing that I'm finding, it doesn't matter what desire it is. It's always the same process of attaining the desire. And so many of my clients for years, well, I want this, but I want this. They all think it's a different process if they want to make money versus attract their ideal partner, or if they want to get in better shape, then they want to do something else. And it's all energetically, the action steps might be different. Right? Going to a gym and working out might be a better idea than trying to go to a bank and invest money when it comes to different desires. Yeah. The action steps, which we have to take, are different towards the desire, but the underground, the energy, that process is still the same for every single one of our desires. And most people don't know it.
Do you think with the year we just came out of, for those who are listening to this, we recorded this in late January. For those watching it live, you know exactly when it is. At least we hope you do. And if you don't, man, I'd love to be in that zone. During last year, when everything was going around, were people more susceptible to having their desire factors changed because of where things were? Look, I'll be honest, I was desiring actually seeing people and being with people, but I couldn't. Would that redirect my desires and my channels based on the fact that I was working in a different sphere?
For sure. I mean, there's a lot of different priorities that people got when, you don't get to travel anymore, when you can't go to see a concert, when you can't get to go travel and go to the places that you were going to go, when you were going to have a party and that had to be canceled. I mean, when people lost their jobs or they're now stuck in a house with a person that they really didn't like in the first place. Yeah. Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that get clear when contrast comes in. And what happens with a lot of people, unfortunately, they get stuck in the problem. They don't know how to get out of it. And what happens with other people is they look at the contrast and say, okay, I'm using this as clarity. And what do I want now? What is my desire? What do I want better in my life?
You've written a whole bunch of books before. It's true. You have. And they're great. And they're amazing. You're New York Times bestsellers. You're a big deal. Every now and then we have to kind of stroke our ego a little bit, Christy.
It doesn't need stroking. All good here.
What was I love asking authors this question about the process. What was maybe different or the same from the way you put this message together? Because
Well, you're
I
gonna love
imagine you
this.
have a system. I want to hear it. Oh, I'm going to love
Yeah,
this.
you're
I like
gonna
it.
love this. So in 2018, it actually happened to be my son's birthday, September 17th, 2018. I started to full on channel where my consciousness goes out and the council comes in.
Right.
And so I have always channeled through the 20 years that I've been an author, through all 7 books. I've scribed, right? My hand becomes totally independent of myself. I write and I could work with people, understanding and seeing where their energy is, helping them be able to shift into abundance out of lack, all of that. But this was a full on, like full embodiment channeling, right? And my life completely changed from that point. And so did my clients' lives, because now they weren't just getting me and what my knowledge and wisdom is. Now they get infinite intelligence that comes through me and can see things that I can't see as a human. And this book, even though I started and it was downloaded, right, a couple of years ago, this was now pulsating through me as the book. And the information that was coming through me was channeled from the council. So even though the information was channeled before, I didn't know who exactly I was channeling.
Yeah.
Now I know the source of it, and it's the council.
Thrive Loud listeners and viewers, you need to know this, that yeah, I like when I get a little bit into the woo-woo here. I do. I'm always impressed. And I think this is actually important because your content is sharp, it's on point, and it's talking about something that is not as concrete, is a little bit more fluid. And I always try and, do you have a challenge with a lot of the people you coach in helping them get to that space and that vibration and that energy level that you need to? Because I'm actually curious about that, because I've read your whole thing about the council. I also love that whole thing. And maybe that's a good way to start here. You want to share just a quick 411 for the listeners that aren't familiar with the council, what that is. And then let's go towards this question about the challenge of dealing with those that might not be as fluid on the same page with you.
Yeah. So, we've heard of channeled people before. I think one of the most famous is Abraham Hicks. And, there's a lot of other people that channel. And so when I channel, it's like my conscious awareness goes out and I feel blocks of energy. Like I just don't even aware of what I'm saying. My voice is different. And they are ascended masters. It sounds crazy when I say it, but it's true. And they speak through me. And what I love about them is that they're here to teach through me energy mastery, and this is where it's cool, because this is where it gets practical. You would think, oh, it's so woo woo and so out there and so esoteric, which it is. But at the same time, they teach that there's 5 ways that we have control of our life, and it's through our consciousness. One of them is the words that we speak, right? There are certain words that we say that pull our energy down into lack and limitation. And when we shift those words, we then feel better, and we're in more creative mode, and we're flowing towards our desires instead of resisting them. I can give examples if you want. So watching our words is really important. Our thoughts. Got a lot of mindset coaches. Mindset coaches are awesome, but this goes beyond and is so much deeper than just the mindset, because the mind and the emotions are interconnected. And when you just change the mindset and you don't deal with the emotions that are there, most people, however, I know I was raised not to cry, right? Not to feel. I had a little girl, Lou, this was so funny. I was at my son's soccer game and I was playing with this little girl who I've known since she was a baby. She's about 3.5 now. And I was chasing her all around the field. She kept going, get me. And I'm getting up and running around. And all of a sudden I was talking to my husband. I wasn't paying full attention to her, right? And she came up and bit my finger. And I was like, what the heck? And I started pretending I was crying. I was like, kind of cuddling into my husband. And she goes, no, with her hand on her hip. She goes, no. And I go, what? She goes, you're a big girl and big girls don't cry.
Did you break out in song?
And I put my hand on my hip and I said, oh, yes, we do. Because we do. We have to. It's emotions. And people are so afraid of emotions. But here's a 3-year-old little girl already being conditioned that big girls don't cry. Right.
And understanding where they need to be at that point and that perception of where things are.
Yeah. And emotions are so important. And when I stuffed away my emotions, one of the things I talk about is vice freedom, because if we're doing a vice, it's because we're suppressing our emotions, and we need to use our emotions to be able to feel our way into our desires and to know if we're moving towards what we want or what we don't want. And emotions and mindset interconnect.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just jump on this page here. One of the things that we do with a lot of the top leaders and marketers and performers is that I'll work with them and help them move through fear into courage. Yeah. And I do this whole thing about the word emotion. Emote, it's from the root emote, means to move. And it literally is from one physical state of being from another. And you could take it to whichever level you want, but it is so important that people recognize that is what is happening. You're literally changing your state of being. However you want to interpret it, as I'm switching my emotion switch and I'm making it more physical or chemical, versus, as you would say it, a little bit more how you're absorbing the situation at that moment, whether you're fake crying or not. You got bit by a 3-year-old girl? Can we talk about this? Really? She bit your finger or your hand?
She bit my finger. But big girls don't cry, apparently. So yeah, it would crack me up. I'm like, wow, how young does the program start?
Right.
And that's when the council teaches, right? It's the words that we speak. It's the thoughts that we think. It's the perspectives that we hold, whether we look at perspective in lack or in abundance. It's the emotions that we process or don't. And it's our actions. All 5 of those things are only things that make up our consciousness. And if we are this is where it gets practical. Our thoughts create a reality. Our perspectives create our reality. Our emotions create our reality. And it's not about the president, or it's not about the coronavirus. It's not about all the protesting. It's not about anything that's outside of us. It's how we choose, always with our free will and choice, to feel, to think, to speak.
It's so true and so important. We're here with Christy Whitman, who's just a rock star, and she's so much fun. I want to ask one more question about this, and this has to do with the way this past year has been for you, and it's rather right on point here. What did you desire most this past year that you couldn't do?
I turned 50 in November.
We're the same age, but you look much younger. So just
you. Yes. You win more points.
Again, we have to call my mom. We got to go, mom. Yeah, you did good again. Okay.
She trained you well. Yeah. So my husband and I were going to have this big blowout, bash with a band and the whole thing. We have an 80s band, and it was going to be awesome. And then we were going to go to New Zealand with our boys on a 2-week cruise. And those 2 things didn't happen. And it was just a pivot. And I really didn't feel sorry for myself, or didn't feel like, oh, well, now, I can't celebrate my 50th. It just shifted and pivoted. I found it really interesting because when everything closed down, I was at a event in Colorado, creating more speaking material so that I would get out, because my business has been all virtual by choice, because I'm raising kids, right? And so I didn't travel a lot by choice. And I wanted to start maybe 1 or 2 times going and doing more speaking engagements. And here I'm at a speaking event, creating my stuff, and everything shuts down. I'm like, okay, I got the message. Stay virtual.
Stay in that zone. You asked about this before we went on the air, and I'll share this with you. Maybe we're getting past the horizon, and we're starting to come back to a little bit of this hybrid world. Because yesterday I actually was in an in-person event in a hybrid environment. Most of the people were virtual, but there were people on site. I was actually in a room with people. So when you asked the question, Christy, what you desired most, and obviously we do so many podcast episodes and virtual trainings and lessons and everything in front of the screen right here, the energy, and this is going to bring this home to you, the energy of just being in a room with other people, even though we were more than 6 feet apart, masked up and making sure our hands were very clean, was so wonderful. It was nice to be back in that room with people, to understand it, have people connect with whatever message, or even just to use that joint ability and that expedited speed, which you connect much more when you're in person, because you can pick up so many more feelings in the room, so much reaction. Is that something, because I know you obviously speak a lot. I've actually witnessed you speak. Well, shout out, I guess, to Steve Olsher back in 2019 when we was like, wait a minute, I know Christy. She's on stage. Who knew? Didn't even know you were on the agenda that day. But you, are you looking forward to getting back to that? Are you desiring that?
It's funny. I haven't desired traveling. I used to love to travel. And since, I was born and raised in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I left after I graduated ASU, and my husband and I bought a house here 5 years ago. And there's so many different places in Arizona. I used to go to Sedona in the 80s, right? And it's very different than it was in the 80s. But wow, I just so in love. I'm like, I have 2 hours away from me, one of the most beautiful places on earth. And so I'm like, I'm content to just drive down the road and go. We just literally spent 2 nights in Sedona, just the two of us. And it was so fantastic and, just felt so healing.
See, that's because you live in an amazing part of the world. This is a lesson for everybody. Live in an amazing part of the world. If you're stuck in certain places that aren't so amazing, you can't get there as easily. But that's awesome. And
well, it's funny you mentioned that because that was one of my desire factors. When I met my husband, he was a French Canadian, lived in Montreal. And when I moved there, it was February 2nd and it was cold. I told myself as I'm driving up in my Audi convertible, I'm driving up and there's a snowbank that's higher than the, car next to me. And it's freezing. I could feel it because I've got a, soft top. But I'm like, I must be crazy or in love, or maybe even both. To do this. So, but I lived there and I weathered through those winters where I felt like an Eskimo. And finally, one day I was talking to a friend who happens to be a coach in personal development. And I was complaining about the weather because now I'm like having to take ice off my car. And he just did a smack on me. His name's Rich Gurman. I don't know if you know Rich, but he goes, Whitman. And I was like shocked into place. I go, what? He goes, you're a coach. You have a virtual business. You can live anywhere. What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, let me call you back. And I walked into the house. I said to my husband, I go, I'm not doing this anymore. I do not like winters and I don't want to live here. So this is my last winter. And he's like, okay. And we were done. Like I moved back to Arizona. My family's here, best friends, 5 of my best friends are living here. And it was just one of those decision points where it's like, I'm tired of suffering. I'm tired of doing this. Yeah. This doesn't feel good to me anymore. What do I want? I want to live in sun. I want to live where there's nice weather, So
this is what you desired. See, we brought it all full circle there. The desire factor. You got it. By the way, just to let you know, this upcoming weekend after we drop our daughter off at school, I'm going to be down in warm weather for the whole month of February because my wife doesn't like the winter that much anymore. So I want to do 2 things. Let's do the admin part of the show here. It always gets more execution from you, specifically those listeners who are listening right now. Share with everybody more about the desire factor, links, stuff like that. We will put all the promo stuff in the show notes and on the links in the page, but it's all you get. It always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Well, here it is. It's the desire factor. I'm so excited. Best work.
Put it up again. Put up the book again. I'll give you the full screen there. There we go. Yay! Okay, awesome. Yay.
This is actually the galley. So the book comes out on April 20th, 21st. And you can actually go to pre-order it right now at thedesirefactor.com. And what you get is amazing because instead of just paying for a $14.99 book, you get 3 meditations and processes that are absolutely so energetically shifting and healing from the council. And when the book comes out, you then get engaged. You're signed up for a live 4-week course with the council that starts in May. So it's like $900 worth of stuff that you're going to get from pre-ordering the book. And there's processes at the end of each chapter to help you get really clear and also meditations. And those are also going to be uploaded into the membership site too. So just a $15 book gets you $900 worth of stuff, plus tons of resources to help you get on your way now, not having to wait until April, but now to start moving towards your desires.
I like it. Christy, we're going to do something we didn't do with you the first time you were on the show. And that's because I don't know how many episodes ago that was, but it was a long time ago. We'll make sure we put the links to the original episode Christy was on when she was talking about, I guess it must have been 2018 because it was quantum success.
Yeah, that's it.
My God, we're getting old. Anyway.
Speak for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, just in age, in number. In spirit, I'm as young as an 18-year-old. Okay. So, Christy, the way this works is we are going to do Fun Street. The last time we had you on, we probably asked you what your all-time favorite movie was. So I'm going to get you warmed up here, I'm going to change that conversation. And I'm going to ask the question, is there an author other than yourself that you have connected with specifically, or something you really enjoy? It doesn't have to be work related or coach related. It could be for fun or some kind of passion project, something that you've been reading that you've really appreciated of late.
Oh, that's a good one. And he's not here in the present anymore, but Wayne Dyer was always and has been my favorite author. And I got to meet him many times in, different circumstances. And I remember meeting him while we were in LA and he was on a trip to Maui. And I walked up to him and he was just like, "Oh, how are you?" And he was the most gracious guy. It was the first time I ever met him. And someone came up to talk to him and say, "Oh, are you Wayne Dyer?" And he's like, "Well, you must know Christy Whitman too." I mean, he didn't know me. And he didn't, I told him I was an author also and law of attraction coach. And he just so was inclusive in the conversation. And I just loved that about him, because there's been many people I have met in this, industry that aren't like that.
Yeah.
And so it was really just, they say you shouldn't meet your heroes, but I was so glad I did. He was amazing. Awesome. Yeah.
So we're going to do the speed round of Fun Street, and let me explain how this works. Okay. You've seen the show, The Family Feud, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Remember when they always ask a whole bunch of questions and you're going to come up with the answer really quickly? I want you to come up with the first thing that comes to your mind, these are questions that make you feel good, things you love, things that make you thrive. And I want the first thing that comes to your mind is what we're looking for. I haven't surveyed 100 people. I'm only surveying. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
A song that you love to hear or that pumps you up.
What is it called? By Pat Benatar. Let's get fired up. What is it? Fire up.
Hit me with your best shot.
No,
No.
I love that. I love that one too. And Heartbreaker. All fired up.
All fired up. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite food that's not a dessert.
Pasta.
A favorite dessert.
Cannolis.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Hiking.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Cooking.
If you could snap your fingers, Christy, and go anywhere in the universe, where are you?
Bali.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Christy Whitman, ChristyWhitman.com, The Desire Factor. Listeners, you got to go check it out. We'll put all the special show note links. That offer you're giving sounds amazing. So we'll make sure you get that before April 20th, before the book comes out. Take advantage of the special offer. But most importantly, I am so psyched that you came back on. I love catching up with you. And hopefully you had fun here on Thrive Loud.
Always have fun with you. You're the best. Thank you so much for inviting me back.
Absolutely, Christy. And to all our listeners and viewers out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Head on over to Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe and listen to all of our incredible episodes. Follow Lou at Thrive Loud everywhere on social media, and head on over to thriveloud.com to connect directly to Lou and learn how you and your business can thrive loud too. Thanks for listening.